Do you want 6,742 amps for free? Who wouldn't? Stick around as we go in depth with the Neural Amp Modeler, which is an open source amp modeler with a few tricks up its sleeve. So we all have a rough idea of how impulse responses work for guitar cabs. In essence, you run a known sound source through a guitar speaker and record it. This then changes the EQ of that original sound and creates like an EQ profile. This file can then be used in programs or multi-effects units to emulate the sound of a guitar speaker. Well, a similar thing can be done for guitar amps, which can create like a snapshot of a guitar amp. Kemper amps have been doing this for a while with their profiles, and more recently the Tonex has dipped into this kind of amp profiling. Neural Amp Modeler is a really similar system, however it is open source, which means it is completely free. Yes, you heard me right, it is free. So at its core, it allows you to play through thousands of amps, pedals and even cab IRs without spending a penny. So here is how you get the Neural Amp Modeler for yourself. Follow the link on screen and download the installer for Windows or Mac. When you open the installer, make sure you save your file in a folder that the DAW will recognise. This will now install an interface for your amp models, but it won't download any amp profiles for you, so you've got to visit this website. There is a massive community with thousands of amp models, pedals and impulse responses. I would advise you not only to download amp models, but also download some impulse responses too. Without this, it will sound like you're plugging directly out of an amp into a desk, which sounds horrible. An alternative would be to pair this with something like 2Note's Wall of Sound plugin, which is an excellent 3-dimensional cab sim, which has some fantastic free cabs available. Here's an example of the Neural Amp Modeler with Wall of Sound to create some excellent results. As a side note, the Tone Hunt website is a hidden gem even if you're not into this plugin. The website features tons of free IRs that you can download. So if you happen to be using a hardware multi-effects that takes cab IRs, like the HX Stomp or the Quad Cortex, you can basically get a bunch of free cab sounds for the grand old price of nothing. Fantastic. Now, the biggest strength of the Neural Amp Modeler happens to be one of its biggest downfalls too. The Neural Amp Modeler is an open source program, which means it is completely supported by community contributions. This, of course, is a great asset because it means that you don't have to shell out on really expensive hardware like you would with something like the Kemper. However, community contributions are not curated, which means that you might have to sift through some of the less desirable captures before you get to the really great ones. For me, this is a small price to pay for keeping an incredible piece of software completely free. Another final drawback to this software is that it is not supported by hardware like the Kemper. This means that you're going to have to drag your laptop along to the bar gig if you are considering using it live. Were you convinced by the tones today? Hit me up in those comments below and let me know your thoughts, and if you're going to be downloading it yourself. If you are after an amp modeling solution that you can take out and about, you've got to consider the TC Electronics DC30. On screen now is a video showing the new firmware of that very pedal. I really appreciate you making it to the end of this video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to see more, and I will see you on the next video.